Hey friends, I'm Mike Laxton with Kingdom Builder, and today I'm in Orlando with Megan Tossi, a rising Christian hip-hop artist with a powerful story and a brand new album that just came out called Fixate. You're about to get to know the heart behind the music, and welcome in to Megan.
Hey, what's up guys? Thank you so much for having me.
So, for those who might not know you, just start off from the top. Can you give us who Megan Tossi is in your own words?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Megan Tossi. I just turned 27, and I am from Orlando, Florida, technically Sanford. And I've loved hip hop my whole life. I've always been a writer, and I've had kind of a crazy story, so I like to include that in my music because I feel like every writer, we write about our experiences. And a fun fact about me is I love sports, I love surfing, and I'm just a pretty chill person. So yeah, I guess it's kind of a good overview of things.
All right, that works. Well,
Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned, you did release your album Fixate here in March. What does that title mean to you personally and spiritually?
Yeah, so Fixate, that's actually something I have to remind myself of every day because I have kind of a chaotic life a lot of times. I have a chronic illness and a few other things that happen throughout my life. And just the word fixate every day it just reminds me whenever I am tempted to not keep my eyes on God and to look at my circumstances, it reminds me to fixate back, right, to where I'm supposed to. So every day I have to remind myself of that so that I don't, just kind of go crazy in a way, and it just keeps me on solid ground. And so that's kind of an overview of what that means to me.
Now, was there a particular season of life that you were in when you started writing the album, or what can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually started writing this album about a year ago, and what happened with that, the whole process of writing the album actually embodies that word. It's kind of crazy. A lot of crazy things happen throughout that process of writing and recording and finalizing. Really, the reason I started making it is because that's just a common theme in my life, and it just was something that I felt like God was leading me to write about. And then throughout the whole process, I had a house fire that happened that kind of made that even more of an important thing to remember, and just all the chaos that comes with house hopping and not having a place and losing all your things and everything like that. So really, it just kind of kept getting confirmed throughout the process because it was more and more of something I had to remind myself of. And that's something that kind of keeps me going. So, obviously Jesus, which is what that is,
Absolutely,
keeping your eyes on him.
So, of course, with hip hop, there's a whole bunch of different styles, different sounds. How would you describe Megan Tossi's sound, especially with Fixate, when it comes to any influences or any type of comparisons for hip hop?
Yeah, that's a good question. I try to keep things pretty unique, 'cause I'm a very creative type of person, but I also do have those inspirations. So I would say I do get inspired by artists like John Keith. I love his music. A little bit of RG, what up RG? And I grew up with Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne and all of them. So you might see some of those inspirations throughout as well. But I try to keep it as unique as I can, just because my mind's kind of like that. But I would say those are probably some of the influences I would draw from, and maybe Kanye too a little bit.
Now, if someone was to take a listen to Fixate for the first time and you wanted to have them just to listen to one song, what song would it be and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, I would say Fixating, because that song kind of encapsulates the whole project. And that song is actually very out of my comfort zone, and I almost didn't even put it on the album, but God kind of led me to. But I feel like that song, the reason why would be because it really encapsulates the whole project, and it really helps you fixate, right? It helps you get your mind right, and it's a very unique song too. Something I feel like you don't hear too much in CHH. So I guess that's kind of what I would say.
Now, do you do the production yourself, or did anyone you worked with when it came to the production part of
Yeah,
that?
so I have not produced any of the songs on this project. So I did work with artists like Eli Williams, Shango, Crucif. He actually produced my song Firehouse. A lot of people like that song. And I'm pretty sure there's a few others, and right now I cannot think of them. But yeah, that's who I can think of right now.
You did briefly mention that you kind of have a little bit of a testimony. I know there's a shark bite involved in that somewhere.
Yeah.
So could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I actually want to make a song about that, but I'm trying to figure out how to. But Yeah, so in 2020, it's actually been about 5 years because at the end of July will be 5 years. And basically, I'm a surfer. I love the ocean. And of course, I surf at the shark bite capital of the world. So that's kind of maybe a little bit of my fault. Yeah. But basically, I was just out there, on vacation. So I was kind of on island time. I didn't realize what time it was. It was kind of like a feeding time, I guess. So basically a shark just kind of came from under my board and bit my foot and was trying to tear my foot off for a few seconds. So that was a fun time. It was crazy. And thankfully it let go and I have my foot. It's still there. Everything's there. It almost took off a few toes, but I have a cool bite mark. So I guess that's kind of cool. So.
Well, I mean, you had that scar, but at least that scar is led to your testimony.
Yeah.
To see that, hey, this is, God still pulled me through, and you're still good with that.
I'm just hoping when I'm old, it's not all saggy and weird looking, but it's okay. I mean, it's part of it.
So, as an artist, a lot of artists, they have that balance between, of course, in the Christian realm of trying to balance your faith with the entertainment aspect. How do you manage that?
That is something I feel like I'm always learning more of how to manage. A big thing, like I said, keep going back to that word fixate. That's a big thing, is just continuing to, whenever my mind is focusing on things that are not what it should be, like whether it's like success, something like in excess, or just different things that are distracting me from what really matters. I have to constantly choose to like fix my eyes back on God. And like that whole theme, literally, I do that in every area of my life. I don't always do it like I need to. And even today on my way here, I had to pray and just kind of confess that, because I've been kind of not fixing my eyes on God like I should lately. And sometimes life can be difficult to do that. But it's a discipline. And so I think what I'm learning is disciplining yourself to have the right mindset and to not get lost in the things you're trying to achieve, or the things that can be easy to have comparison or whatever it is, because, someone else may get what you're wanting or whatever. And trying to remember like why I do this and who I'm ultimately here for in general. And that just pulls me back into the mind space I need to be in. Because I feel like it's a common theme amongst artists to have to tug of war, right? With yourself. So
now, for someone who's listening to, Fixate from beginning to end, what is that one hope you pray that the listener will walk away with after listening to the full album?
The way I organized the album was to bring you through not just my story, but just a normal human's life. Like all of us have our ups and downs, the craziness and the good times. So just hoping that anyone who listens to it would just take away, like, no matter what you're going through, whether it's good or bad, like to just keep like remembering that God's still with you, and anything bad doesn't define who he is. Like, sometimes we think if something tragic happens, like, how can God be good? How can God be who he says he is? But like remembering that his character isn't contingent on the things that we go through. And so I think that's one of the main things I want people to take away, is to not think that God is cruel, but to walk away with a new understanding of who he is, and that never changes. That's the main thing I would say.
Now, since again, it came out in March, it's basically June now. Have you received any feedback as far as maybe any growth or just anything, how God's worked in the album itself?
Yeah, I know I've heard some people tell me like that it was really encouraging to them and they kind of just needed it. And some people, even some of the more, because I have songs in there that are not very encouraging, because I kind of take you through my life and those dark moments too. And some people even said those songs impacted them a lot, because like they're like currently in that season, and I guess they feel understood and heard. And so just different aspects of some people needing the more encouraging side, some people needing to feel more heard. And I've heard different responses based off that. And that's been kind of encouraging, because that's why you do it. You want people to be impacted and God to be glorified. And I think anytime I've got feedback, it's been kind of encouraging. So it's my first project too. So it's a lot of work.
It is, but you know what? It's good
but it's worth it.
Definitely, it's worth it. You have something out there now, so people you can point to, listen to. I mean, of course, you have some pretty cool visualizations you've had on your Instagram that I've seen, and I'm just I know there's one particular aspect that there's a fire involved.
Yeah,
so I think it was really cool the visuals there. But when it comes to Christian music, especially, excellence is always a key factor, whether it's in ministry and the entertainment portion. What does that mean to you, and how do you try to reflect that in your work?
So I tend to be a perfectionist, and that's one thing that I have to work on because sometimes I'll be a little overboard with that, and it'll take me a while to get things finalized. But that shows I really value excellency in art in general. I feel like not like bashing nobody, but I feel like it can be easy to try to just draw from what everyone else sounds like in the world and to just kind of mimic that. But I feel like it's really important to be your own artist. And, we have the Holy Spirit, so he's way more creative than anything else out there. So I'm trying to draw from his creative ability and just bring something new and fresh. And so to me, that's like a kind of an important task. And so I definitely try to make sure that everything I put out is as good as I can make it, without being too excessive with the perfectionist mindset, because that's something I'm working on. But definitely trying to, just show like the art behind things and bring people into the world that I'm, the songs I'm putting out there, bring people into that song by the visuals or, the lyrics or just how I explain it. Because I feel like that's something people are drawn to. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would say it's definitely very important. And something I really highly value is having that level of excellency.
So now looking at the Christian hip hop genre as a whole, are there any particular misconceptions you wish to kind of challenge by being in the scene now?
Yeah, so I would say with the genre in general, like what I would challenge, I guess, would be just the view of women in hip hop. Like in the secular world, you see like a lot of exploitation going on for women and just women being undignified. And I think that the space is doing good with that, with artists like Anike and like Child Like Cece, and just trying to continue the consistency of that. And hoping to make it more, what's the word? I don't know if feasible is the right word, but more maintainable for women to be successful in this space, because sometimes that can be a little difficult. And I think that one thing God's been putting on my heart is this world really needs to see women of God, like men, girls, women, boys, all of them, like, because there's such a bad perception right now of who women are. And I think that's something that God's been putting on my heart lately is like showing who we are made to be, Proverbs 31, and just really like influencing the culture, influencing men and women, because both of them need to see that. And I needed to see that when I was a kid. And so that's something I would say is just defeating the misconception of who females are in hip hop in general. And also the last misconception that I would say would just be, defeating the whole corny mindset people have of Christian hip hop, because it's definitely not. I mean, it could be, depending on who you are, if you don't really make it good, like anyone though, in any genre can do that. But I think there's a lot of talent in the space and a lot of like excellency. And I think that whole word of corny, honestly, is super outdated with the space. So definitely trying to just prove that as well, because I do think there's a lot of art and a lot of brilliancy in the space.
And I think that, having been in the Christian hip hop industry myself, 10 plus years ago and seeing where it is now, I think it's made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of, it's making a lot of waves for sure. And so I think it's at probably one of the best spaces to be in right now, especially in the Christian music genre is that.
Yeah.
But last question for you. Fixate's out, came out in March. What's next for Megan?
Yeah, so I just released that album, and also I just released a visual for the album. It's like a short film. So that was really cool. So I'm just going to be promoting a lot of that. And I guess next would just be pushing some singles. I'm working on getting some out as soon as possible. And I'm not too sure project-wise. I do want to hopefully do like an EP or something. I don't know if it'll be this year, but it'll be nice if it's this year. But definitely getting singles out and just maintaining, like pushing what I've got with this project and this visualizer I just put out. And also, I know I am performing at Flavor Fest on the main stage. So that's going to be cool. Right. I've actually never been to Flavor Fest, so I'm kind of excited to go for my first time.
It's a great place to be. You'll made a lot of connections there. We're hoping to be there ourselves, so we'll definitely, it'll be good to see you on stage.
It's going to be cool. I've never even been to that church, so I'm excited to go.
Yeah, that whole church is
good things.
They set a big foundation as far as what Christian hip hop is as a huge part of that. So I think you're in good hands there. So it'll be exciting to see you there.
Yeah, thank you too. I'm excited. That's where you are. So
yep, I'm in Tampa. Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, thanks Megan for so much for joining us here on Kingdom Builder. You check out the description below the video here to check out all her socials, those visuals, including that short film. And then as always, again, thank you so much for tuning in. And this is, again, Mike Laxton reminding you to keep Christ first in your lives and everything else will fall into place.